All right, hello, my name is Sam Carlson. If you're watching this video, then it is time to launch into learning Facebook ads, and specifically learning how to use Facebook ads for a local business, okay? So I'm gonna jump straight into this content because I don't want to take up a lot of time introducing myself or introducing any other situation other than what is at hand today, which is local Facebook ad marketing. Now, I have qualified this particular training to favor the topic of local. You notice that's underlined right there, local Facebook ad marketing. Why such an emphasis on that word local? Well, before we get into anything, understand that what PatientStream does and what we're doing here today, what you're learning, is how to run Facebook ads for a local brick and mortar business. Not how to do that for a nationwide company or a company that has locations in several different states throughout the country. We are talking about small, targeted audiences in your market. So I want to make sure that as we go through some of the context that you'll be learning these things, as well as some of the things you've heard maybe from other courses or anything like that. It's not going to make a lot of sense if we don't just establish the basis of this is for local Facebook ads. So let's go ahead and get moving here. All right. The next thing is just understanding what it is that we are doing. In this case, we're doing a type of marketing that is called direct response marketing. Okay. The purpose of direct response marketing is to get leads. We're not doing branding here. This is not really even content marketing. Those things can help support lead campaigns, but in this case, we're focusing on direct response campaigns. Leads come from cold traffic. It is not the same thing as warm traffic. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this camera angle real quick. Now, I want to stop here just for a minute because there's one really important basis to make sure that we all have, once again, like the local thing, but for lead generation and how this works. We definitely want to make sure that you understand that a cold audience and a warm audience, and what I say warm audience is a referral, okay? These are two distinct types of audiences. So the sales cycle and the communication that you're used to doing with people who are referred to you, it's different, okay? So as we go through this process, as you go through this program, understand that our whole goal is to get the attention of the right person and then show you how to turn that attention into a conversion. So let's jump back into this. All right, so yeah, friend of a doctor sends you in versus them seeing your ad on Facebook. A lead's job is to get attention that advances a sale, not make a sale for you, okay? The whole job a lead is designed to perform is, again, to get the 3 to 6% of that audience to raise their hand and say, hey, whatever you put in front of me interests me enough to give you my name, phone number, and email. Okay. And the magic comes after that event happens. Now, what's great about leads is you can scale any service you want, assuming you have an offer audience match. Okay. And this is what we're going to be showing you here today. Okay. So before we move too far into this whole process, how does an ad work? It's a really good question to ask. And an analogy I like to give when people are trying to see, again, the difference between a local campaign and a big campaign is, how does a billboard work? What is the actual working component of a billboard? Well, when you look at a billboard, there's an image and an offer, okay? You place in front of that, you place a lot of people that can see that image and that offer, and all of a sudden you have an ad and people seeing it, and that is how it works. It is very straightforward. There's nothing complicated about this process. And what most people do is they do overcomplicate that process. But once again, understand, this is for local marketing. Okay, so how does Facebook look at an ad? Now, you know how a person looks at a billboard. We know that. But what about Facebook? What about the, quote, algorithm? How does that work? Well, when Facebook looks at anything you put in front of them, they look at it from 3 different angles. One, okay, we're going to stick with this billboard idea. One is your ad. So they're going to look at the quality of what you've placed in front of your audience. Okay. They're going to look at the image. They're going to look at the messages. They're going to compare that to who else is competing for that same audience. They're going to look at the freeway, or in this previous example of the billboard, they're going to look at the freeway, the place, who the people are on the freeway, and then how much traffic. If you spend $5 a day, a small amount of people are going to see that, as opposed to spending $50, $60, $70 a day. Okay, so how much traffic? All right. And what they're going to do is they're going to take those three elements and they're going to overlap them. And the way that those three things overlap is going to result in a lead. Okay. Your creative, your ad budget, and your audience. Okay. We don't need to get any more complicated than that. All right. We'll jump into how that information is used in the context of your clinic. All right. Anatomy of an ad. We have an idea of about how Facebook ads and how those work for a local market. You're driving past a billboard. We understand how that works. The great thing about Facebook ads is we get immediate feedback as to whether or not our billboard stinks or not. Okay. In this case, when it comes to what makes a good billboard, we definitely want to make sure that we abide by some of the things that are best practices. So to do that, we want to make sure that we understand the psychology about how somebody sees an ad, what they do, how they engage with it. So first things first, this is an example of an ad that I swiped from somebody who was targeting me here locally in Meridian, Idaho. When you look at an ad like this, before I tell you how people look at an ad, think to yourself, what was the first thing you saw? And then the next thing you saw, and so on and so forth. How did you engage with this ad? Let me see if this matches up with what you experienced. Number one, you saw the image first. Number two, you looked at what the headline said. Number three, you looked at the top of the copy to see if it was interest to you. Number four, you looked at that see more button, and in this case, you would click it and open up the entire ad to see what it said. And if it suited your fancy, number five, you would click learn more. How close were we to what you experienced? 9 out of 10 people experience ads in this exact way. All right. So it's important to understand this hierarchy, because later we're going to talk about what makes a really good ad perform and what makes a really good offer. These are important things. All right. So how do we know if an ad works or if it doesn't work? This is important. Again, if you drive by a billboard, eventually you're going to get phone calls. Okay. So we know it's working. How many phone calls? That would answer the question as to how well it does work. But with Facebook ads, how does this work? Okay. So we want to start off by looking for clues. All right. Now, before we talk about these specific clues, a good ad and good ads and how we're going to have success with those clues, I want to establish a really important baseline. And this is some insight into the reality of expectations and how Facebook actually works. Facebook marketing is not a vending machine. The reason that I shared this particular example right here is that a lot of times people think that there's some type of magical wand that we wave that makes it so I put in this much money and out comes this many patients. And if you think of it like that, it's going to be an utter disappointment. Okay. Now, I understand why you would be tempted to do that, because there are people who make it look that easy. And when people sell and pitch you things, they want it to seem that easy. But the reality is it does take some work. It takes some consistency. Okay. So we definitely want to make sure that when we're looking at this, we understand what success with Facebook really means. It's a culmination of the right audience offer match, the correct effort, consistent touch points with your leads, and being able to offer more than just one niche. Okay. We can't be a one-trick pony forever. All All right. And then timing. Okay. Timing, who's competing with you in your market. If you're going out and you're doing a neuropathy campaign, but so is everybody else in your marketplace, that could be very frustrating when you see one campaign work for somebody else, but it's not working for you. So timing is important. And there's a lot more things to it other than that. But if success was a matter of just plugging money in and then you'd have success, then everybody would win with Facebook ads. Our whole purpose, the whole reason I'm sharing this information with you is so you can be one of the few people who actually does experience success with Facebook ads, who knows how to use Facebook ads as a tool to get an outcome with relative ease and in a short amount of time. You will be able to do that so long as you understand the nature and the reality of what we're doing here. So that's just a quick little thing that we want to make sure that we're understanding before we move too far forward. All right. How do we know if an ad works or it does not? Now, there is a metric called CTR. That means click-through rate. Okay. A click-through rate above 1% is our best indicator as to whether or not we have an offer audience match. If it's below 1%, probably either there's a lot of people offering a similar thing or our demographic is not interested in that. There's no specific or there's no special type of targeting, like let's only focus on old people or people, that have interest in chiropractic care. None of that will work. None of that will fix the problem. It needs to be a good billboard, right? The ad and the offer must be good for this thing to work. So a 1% click-through rate, here's what that actually means. It means that out of 1,000 eyeballs, okay, we call those impressions, out of 1,000 eyeballs, 10 of those people, that's not very many, 10 people clicked on our ads. We consider that a starting point of success. 1%. So 10 people. That's all you need to have success with this. All right, let's get back into the clues. All right, the number 2 thing that we want to look for. So first we've looked at is click-through rate. And the number 2 is the cost and the volume of leads. All right, a good campaign should convert about 10% of those clicks into leads. So if we have 1,000 eyeballs, 10 of them click, we should get 1 lead. All right. The math is very simple here. If we're doing that, then we know we filtered down enough and there's enough of this audience to make our campaign work. So let's talk about costs, because as much as I understand that everybody would like leads for as cheap as possible, that's not a reality. That's not how this works. If I'm marketing in Chicago or marketing in Boise, Idaho, where I live, the ad costs are not going to be the same. All right. And I think most people intuitively can get that. That's not very confusing to them. But whenever you see ads from other agencies or whenever you hear friends at conferences talking about how well they're doing and how low their lead costs are, there's so many components that go into that you have to know, you have to understand how to have an expectation for how your market will work and what you can do to improve that. Okay. There's nothing more frustrating than seeing somebody else have success and not knowing what to do about it. So let's talk about how Facebook actually charges for this attention, for their fees. Facebook charges by CPMs, okay, impressions. So basically they charge you every time they show your ad to 1,000 people, boom, they charge you, okay? And there's a cost to do that. You are measured against other people or other products / offers / services in your market, but the value of your bid is measured by the algorithm. Okay, there's that big scary word, in 3 different ways. Remember this: creative, audience, and budget. So I think it's really simple to understand. In an auction, you wave your paddle, and if you have the highest bid, you win. With Facebook, it is different, because when we wave our paddle, instead of just showing the bid, the actual money, we're showing the creative, the audience, and budget. And those things are being measured against all of the other people in our marketplace. All right. So that's actually what you pay for. That's how Facebook decides which 1,000 eyeballs you get and how much you're going to pay for those 1,000 eyeballs. I hope I'm not getting too confusing here. This was an attempt to make that process as simplified as possible. But at the end of the day, you're paying for 1,000 eyeballs, and so are other people. So how good is your creative? How competitive is your budget? The more money you spend, the better parts of the audience you're going to be put in, assuming you have a good offer, okay? Which is why you want to test and make sure you do before you spend too much, okay? Ad costs continue. So based on my experience, I want to talk about what I've seen to make a winning campaign. Based on my experience, if you have a good offer, that leads to lower costs and better lead volume, okay? Those are the things that everybody wants. Bad offers. So bad offers, a bad offer would be like a consultation. That's not really an offer. An offer that everybody else is doing. So if you're a chiropractic clinic and you're doing a $21 new patient offer and adjustment exam, people have seen it. So that's not a good offer. Like that offer is tired at this point. Okay. And then locations. I was doing a demo call about a week ago, and I was with the clinic in Florida, and we did a Google search of his clinic just to get a sense of what his market was like and what types of offer he should consider doing. And he, when I pulled up his clinic, I noticed that within a half mile to a mile of his practice was a dozen other chiropractors, including about a quarter mile down the road, there was a Joint Chiropractic. And I said, well, what type of offer did you want to run here, doc? And he said, well, I want to get chiropractic patients. And I said, I don't think this is a fit for you. We're not going to be able to help you. And he said, well, I don't understand. Why wouldn't you? That's part of what you do. And I said, yeah, we do a lot of that. But have you noticed how many people are in your market and offering the same thing that you're doing? And he said, well, yeah. I said, have you had success with Facebook ads before? He said, well, no, not really. I said, well, this is probably why. There's too many people offering the same thing. So your location, you need to know that. And you, by the way, need to know that more than the people that you work with. You should be able to provide that type of subjective insight so we can provide the types of offers and things you need to pivot quickly. All right. Onward. All right. Low budgets. Having low budget is like driving your car on E. You're not going to get very far. Okay. You need enough money to run daily ads, which I generally say start out at least $40 a day. If you're not going to run that much, either don't do ads or condense the window into say, instead of marketing every single day, do it within 2 weeks. So you can take all of your entire monthly ad spend and spend it in a 2-week time frame. Okay. That's one way to get around it, but certainly don't spend, if you're spending $10 a day, you're just getting cheeseburger traffic. It's not going to be good. And then as far as figuring out what budgets are optimal, if you know that you've got a good offer, something, we look something that has above a 1% click-through rate, your ad costs seem like they're good. Well, at that point, it's a matter of taking your CPMs, okay, because that's what you're going to get charged for 1,000 eyeballs, and just seeing how many leads could we get with 2,000 eyeballs. You know the metrics. We've gone through them. 2,000 eyeballs. Okay, we're going to get 2 leads a day. Well, what is the CPM cost? Well, CPM cost is $20. We're going to have to spend $40 a day. All right. I don't want to get too far into the weeds. These are details, and certainly we can help you, we can help you on budget. What I want you to walk away from this with is an understanding of how this actually works and how it will work in your practice. All right. So let me just summarize real quick with a doc named Curtis Fisher. He's a patient stream user, great guy. And when he started with us, it was really interesting because when he first started, he has a chiropractic clinic, and he wanted to offer a new patient special for a chiropractic $39 new patient special. It did not work. It was crickets, nothing. Second was the $21 new patient special. And again, nothing. And at that point, he reached out to me and said, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. I'm picking campaigns that others say they're having success with. What should I do next? And I said, well, what niches are you in? I see you're doing 2 chiropractic stuff. What can you do to niche down a little bit more? He said, well, we offer decompression. I said, well, one of our top performing campaigns is a sciatica campaign. So let's go ahead and see, would you be willing to do a chiropractic campaign? And sure enough, or I'm sorry, a decompression campaign. And sure enough, he was. And next thing you know, he runs our sciatica campaign and boom, pop, he's getting patients like crazy. And he just recently messaged me and said, hey, can there be a decompression ad for neck pain? By the way, I haven't put that in there as of today yet. I'll work on it. The low back pain, the sciatica one, is working phenomenally. Would like to pump up the neck treatment. So it's just interesting. This is the same person, the same clinic. They ran 2 offers that were complete and utter failures. And in many cases, I would see clinics that would run campaigns and they would consider them an utter failure if they hadn't, if they hadn't stuck with it. And in this case, he ran 2 campaigns that were stinkers and then a campaign that took off and was a winner. All right. So knowing if you have an audience offer match, knowing how to pivot to other offers, and knowing what Facebook actually wants and what your audience actually wants is so paramount to success with Facebook ads. I hope this has been successful. As far as I hope you feel like you've succeeded in learning how to use Facebook as a platform and what to expect with your leads and how to convert more of them into patients. So we'll see you on the next video, and thanks for watching.